生きてく。そうやって。
Hey, what's going on there, everybody? We are back for another anime movie review. We were given the opportunity to check out an early screening for Fruits Basket, the Prelude. Now, I will preface it like this. I, Sam, have never seen any of Fruits Baskets at all. But my co-host here has seen all the anime. He has not read any of the manga, but he has a lot more information to give than I do. I'm going to be doing this strictly as a critic from what I saw, but I will, lead a lot because I'll be like, okay, what does this mean? Who is this character? What is the So I have here another member of Team JVS, Ant Gold. What's going on, bro?
I'm just a stupid ant, I suppose. You Fruits Basket fans will get that reference. Yeah, man. I'm glad to be here. Thanks. You randomly dropped that you had this, and I just finished the new series, ending of the new series like a month or two ago. I was fortunate enough to get a ray of sunshine on this anime that I could was forced almost coerced to actually watch it, and I'm glad I did. This if you guys like to cry, not saying I did, but if you guys like to cry, check out Fruits Basket. It doesn't hit you to the third. A lot of stuff doesn't hit you to the third season, but all the plot threads get together. It's not that long, but it's good. There's actually a second iteration of the series. There was another series that looked like it was in the 90s that didn't finish, but they go through it all here. It's do you want a summary of the anime? Would that help?
Yeah, so I think what would help me and anybody that, just watching this movie, because this is the thing. I'm going to say it like this. Jujutsu Kaisen, I looked at Jujutsu Kaisen's prelude, as it were, and you didn't need to know anything about Jujutsu Kaisen to watch the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, right? So I was thinking, oh, okay, this is the beginnings of something. I'm going to watch this, and then I'm going to go and go watch all the rest of it. But this started off with what seemed like a finale of the series. I could be wrong, but that's what I got the impression of these two individuals. I don't want to say too much because this is a non-spoiler review, but it was very heartfelt. It was very deep, and there was a lot of different cycles of things. I felt like these are seasons wide. Then it goes through two main characters that are a part of the prelude. So it was about 30 minutes before the prelude technically started.
Yo, I thought you put on the wrong thing because I was like, this is a recap of, and it's only a recap of a couple of the main characters. The cast is pretty big, but the characters have to do with this movie. They recap all of Kyo's and Toru's relationship and how it started and going all the way through it, and how he's connected to her mom and how she came into his life again and things like that. Doesn't really go into the hat, which they show in the movie, but they don't really explain. Doesn't go to a lot of things like that. But it was like 30 minutes long intro of a recap. And I was like, we watched this on, we streamed this to each other. So I'm like typing, like, I think you put the wrong thing. Did not expect it. But even then, watching it didn't give you an understanding of what the world you were in. It just gave you correct me if I'm wrong, if I didn't know anything about this, it gave me a sense of those two characters' relationship, and that one of them is also they're both connected to one of the characters' moms, and that there was lots of feelings, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely I'm gonna review it, as though I've never seen it anything, and I haven't. But I do like, if you could just give me a brief overview. What is Fruits Baskets? Like, what is the baseline premise outside of what I can tell? A group of possible friends / family, and he some of them can transform like on touch to animals.
Okay, I didn't even know
That's
you
the
would get that.
impression.
Yeah.
That's the impression I gave because it was a conversation they had early on. Like, I don't want to hug you because I know I'm going to change, and I was
Right.
kind of like, okay. And then he was having this fist fight, what I assume was possibly his brother or somebody that he lives with. It seems like they had a hate-love relationship because the person that was the overseer downstairs was like, you know what, I give up. It's whatever, So I felt like they all have been living together for a period of time, but her being there changed everything.
Oh man,
it
okay,
almost
maybe
seemed like
it's a
a love
better
triangle
preview than
a
I
little
thought.
bit.
Yeah, so the main character, the point of view character we get into this world is Taru Honda, who is the daughter of the two main characters of this prelude, right? Her mother dies a few months before the series starts, and through some circumstances, she ends up living with the most popular boy in school and his cousin, who is this orange-haired kind of like rude guy. You think in more anime tropes that she's gonna end up with the popular kid, but then you find out that that family's been holding a secret. There's 13 members of the family that transform to the 13. They're cursed to transform to the 13 zodiac animals.
Oh my God.
If they're touched by an opposite sex of who's not part of the family. And they're all ruled over by their cruel adolescent god. And so this is not an action anime, even though there's some fighters in the series, but it's more about trauma, psychological manipulation and torture, feelings of loneliness and loss, how people cope with it. And also just love and relationships. You could probably find a person, you could probably project a personality of somebody you truly loved onto one of these characters.
Yeah.
And it's a huge cast. But the main story is the main character is Taru, and then eventually her love interest, Kyo, who even among the cursed zodiac creatures family, the Soma family, the cat is Kyo is the orange cat. And he is further ostracized because the cat is cursed. Because in the Zodiac legend, the cat didn't get invited to the banquet of the god, right? Because he was tricked by the rat, which was the character that he was fighting with, who turns into the rat.
His cousin.
And so,
what you're saying.
Yeah, and so who's the perfect member of the family that a lot of people think of, but that being perfect is also a curse in itself. So you have the most high esteem that the god wants to get the most favor from, and you get the lowest one, and their relationship together, who both in their ways come to love Toru, who's a very opening spirit, who gets to meet all the different zodiac members, and through her, the way she processed trauma. And something that really talked to me in this series is explained to me why she's an empathic character. Because she had to deal with the losses and mood changes of her family. And so people who say that they're empathic, a lot of times it's because they had to as kids, because they dealt with a chaotic caregiver at some point. So they had to read moods very well. Mm-hmm. And so they bring that into their adult life, adolescent and adult life. So the series goes on, and it shows how this curse affects everybody, how their relationships happen, how they ultimately develop and grow through the last couple of years of high school for some of them, or adulthood. They're all different ages. But this is also the first time when every Zodiac member has been reincarnated at the same time. So the series is going off of that. So as you imagine, a big thing is, imagine you could never touch anybody of the opposite sex all through your growing up, or you would transform to the monster. The cat has two forms, actually. One where he's very monstrous, or just the cat. So he's cursed, which is those beads around his hand keeps him from transforming to the further curse.
Got it.
So it also deals with self-hatred, self-esteem, whether you think you're worthy of love, from all different angles. And a lot of these things come off as romantic comedy stuff in the first season or first two seasons with some hints of tragedy, but then all come together at the end of the series. And it's kind of like waterworks every episode as characters, and everybody does not have a picture perfect ending. Like some people are just acceptance or accepting their plight, or accepting that, making the best of the cards they're dealt type of thing. But anyway, this was hinted at of her mother, who was we know about her, she was very brash. She met a couple of characters when they were younger, and Kyo, the cat, met her when he was a kid, because he didn't feel like he could feel love, and for some reason, got competition with the rat, said something very rude to her, left, And then later on, she was in front of him at a stoplight. And he thought about reaching out, but he stopped because he doesn't believe he's worthy of anybody loving him and accepting him, as she always did. And because he didn't stop, a car came and hit her. And she died in front of him. And the last thing she says, I'll never forgive you, when she saw him in the crowd. And he took that as to mean, you blame me because I always cause the worst things to happen. His mom died. His father blamed him. And now this other woman, the next woman that accepted him, said that she would blame him. What she was saying is, find my daughter and make sure you guys have a happy life. If you don't, I'll never forgive you.
I'll never forgive you. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's battling self-hatred. He's battling inadequacy complex. He's battling a lot of different things. And it stems from traumas of unworthiness more than anything that I could tell from this, which is very fascinating. Yeah. So that's a great overview. So that's perfect. That kind of leads me into believing, okay, I might need to go back and rewatch a lot of this because this is a lot. Because the weird thing that I didn't know, because I didn't see the series, is that Caillou is the same name. Kyouko is the same name of her mom. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, wait, is that her other kid? I was kind of like, well, no.
And they have similar personalities, right? They're both brash,
same hair. It wasn't until you get into the episode you realize, okay, she dyed her hair, and they go through Kyouko's whole backstory, like showing how she came to be. In this film, they do a really good job with her as a character. They dissect her in ways that a lot of animes don't focus or center on, because a lot of times you're like, okay, this person is either the antagonist or the protagonist. No, like she's the in-between, because in the very beginning of this movie, or in the beginning of the prelude, I should say, they show where she's with the gang, like she's kind of outcast from her family. She's just angry. And she really doesn't even know why. She's ready to pop off on them, ready to hurt them, gets in fights. And I'll never forget the scene where she is in the principal's office. Principal, teachers push her around. She's legit throwing stuff, threatening their lives. And all of a sudden, this smooth criminal comes out the way. And just like, yo, are you good? And like, no emotion, no anything. He just is like, why are you upset? And he just listens to her. He just allows her to process and gives her boundaries. And at the same time, like, he seems intent. And this character's name is Katsuya. Katsuya, unbeknownst to her, ends up going to be the love of her life. I loved everything about how they broke these characters down. Because they don't leave any stone unchecked to me, because the good, the bad, the ugly, they are so open with each other that they really start to show themselves to us as the audience, even as they are progressing through life, even as they're getting past high school or past jobs or starting their relationship together, down to when it gets later on and it gets very sad and very serious. Like, I don't know, man. It hit me emotionally. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I was like, I ain't about to tear up out here in these streets. But
that's every character in Fruits Basket gets the same treatment. And so the fact that we didn't, so all we knew about her was what some of the other characters, like there's a young gang member in the series that's one of her daughter's best friend, who got beat up by her mom because she tried to test her, because she's like, I heard you was a crimson butterfly. And and so it was like, hey, don't be a little, snot like I was, like, hey, watch out for my daughter. So when she passed, the girl became one of her daughter's best friends. So she was a biker, she had a good reputation in these streets, like but you knew there was also a change, which became like a mother figure because of how she reacted to Kyo in their past. And so you didn't know much about her. And then I think I spoiled a little bit of the show when I told you what she really meant when she said, I'll never forgive you. Mm. But there's a scene where you go back and they show what happens when she's seeing him, she dies, and then she's in the afterlife, and there's waves, and she stands on the waves, and this figure comes and like puts down his hand, and she looks so happy. And we all assume that's her husband, her dead husband. But we had no contest while there was waves, while there was a beach, while there's anything going on there. Right. And to have this such a this like character that nothing get him down, we don't really know. And we knew that her daughter was her whole life. We never really understood the genesis of that, or even why she would reach out to this one bratty kid on a, you know, sitting in the park somewhere. Like, we never knew where that came from, and we get this backstory. And believe me, people, if you work with kids and you see just that anger and they don't even know why they're angry and they're just lashing out. I mean, let's say kids. There's people, full-grown adults, that are angry and don't know why they're angry, but they're just angry at everybody and wish everybody disappears. And in this movie, when he's just sitting there letting her vent, letting her get all her anger out, and he's like, yeah, you say you don't need anybody, but you want to need somebody. You want to love somebody. And, right. And to tell her, you know why I know this? Because I want the same thing too. Come with me. Now, this is Japan, people. And this is a teacher and a student. And nothing happens before they're 18, but this is Japan. Huh? Student teacher. This is Japan. When and I'm not promoting this, but I'm saying whenever like comics and stuff have gotten there, like mass media, people pay attention. Whenever they turn their eye to anime, Fruits Basket will turn it. But he accepts her. He accepts her is the point. He accepts her for who she is, lets her grow, and actually gives her a reason to try to strive to do better. Right, but even then, not feeling deserving of love, you get an idea of what her family life was like. Her mom that was quiet as her father verbally abused her. Feels like he had her on a pedestal, and when she reached those pedestals, he came down on her, and she went the opposite way in rebelling. And there wasn't unconditional love in her life. And a lot of times as we grow up, we feel like love or likeness or accept, even from our caregivers, is conditional. If we're perfect or we do everything we're supposed to do, or we don't cause any trouble, or and that's a really dangerous way to grow up, because you never trust any kind of love or acceptance. It's for somebody to accept you, like, hey, I might not agree with what you do, I might not agree with what you say, I might not think this is the best decision, but I like you. And you know, and that's a really powerful thing. Not that I need a lesson. I came here for a review, but
hey, look, no, I think that's all that's important, because it seems like that's the apex of this series as a whole, not just this movie. I do have a question. For the main character, Toru. Was there a scene that she had a flashback of her mom leaving her, so to speak? There was a distinct moment that happens towards the third act where the mom kind of walks out, and I felt like this was referencing to something. Like, was there ever a moment where Toru like remembered or had a flashback about her mom spacing out or anything like that?
I was wondering that, but I don't remember that scene from her perspective. But again, we only get snippets of that, and there could have been a scene that I missed. The main things happened when she was childhood, that she disappeared actually, and her mom went crazy trying to find her. And and then that's what happened with Kyo. Kyo would meet the mom every once in a while. She would give him some food. They would talk about his problems. Never gave her a real name. And then when she was missing, Kyo went to go. She's like, "I'll find your daughter." And he searched all night for her, but the rat found her and gave her his hat, took her home, made sure she was safe. And so when he found her, he was like, I'm still gonna find her. He's like, no, this other boy found her. And he saw the hat or whatever, and he was like, he knew that the rat had done something better than him again, and so he blamed her, lashed out at her, and didn't talk to her until he saw her again when he was a teenager, and she died. And even when she was running away, she was like, you know, you can always come back. Like, and so he couldn't accept that love either. And again, you get where, because she understood what it was like to lash out at people and be so angry and things like that. So it could have been, and the scene they're talking about, people, is right after the love of her life died, and and again, this is Fruits Basket, and people are not kind. So she's like the world, like this guy was her whole world, her sunshine, and if when she saw something where like a psychic on TV, which is very cruel in my opinion, when I see those ads of like talking to loved ones and things like that, a lot of those frauds for like the psychic hotline and things from back in the day.
Yeah.
So she walks out and like just traumatized, like she's in crisis, and just kind of leaves. And she even says at one point, "I'm not even sure if I've fed her in these last couple of weeks, or I've looked after her, or anything like that," because she was in mourning. She was in terrible, terrible crisis. So yeah, there's a lot of. Can I ask you this? Did these moments hit you not knowing who these characters were? Like, did they hit you as?
Yeah, because for me, I mean, to watch a character first get seemingly like lifted out of darkness from some place that she didn't feel deserving of, it was so reminiscent of the other character. So even though I didn't have any context of who she was before this or who, Kyu was before this, I was like, I associate them together. And then when, they start to maneuver together, they start to have a relationship together, and it was like, wow, okay, she's really trying, but she's still beating herself up, not feeling as though she's worthy. To the conclusion of it, I was like, this person, she was coming from nothing, and he helped bring her out of complete darkness. And so the absence of that leaves her with absolutely nothing. And so, I mean, part of that to me is hard because it's not even you creating this person as an idol. This person legit looked at you in a way that nobody else could and brought you from literal darkness. And so for me, it was heartbreaking, of course. I completely got it. The thing that broke me with it is to watch the mother's disintegration and the child's reaction to it. Without spoiling anything, even you guys have seen the series and know, of course, the mother doesn't make it. But from the movie standpoint, how it all goes down, you got to see the movie for yourself to check that out. But the emotions between the mom and the daughter broke my heart, because the daughter's reaction, she stays silent. It's almost as though we were looking at an anime recently in Spy Family, where a little kid, like, he just fell into the water. And little kids falling into water, they don't make a splash. You don't hear them at all. And so they're just drowning, and you don't know unless you're really truly paying attention, right? And what was happening was this little girl, she didn't know what to say. She didn't know what to do. She was drowning. And it literally was the same as that thing. And it took something else to shake the mom out and like, whoa. And so that, it really did break me, even more so than to watch her disintegrate from that. But it's life at the same as that time, how you come back from a situation like that and what can come from it. So I think the symbolism behind it is really beautiful. The other thing I want to touch on with this is that this is a beautiful looking anime. Like, they get all the different emotional feels, not just the tears, but the expressions, the gestures. It's a very beautiful looking anime film, and I'm assuming that the anime series is the same exact way.
The new one, yes.
And the dub is actually really good. A lot of times the dubbing doesn't work really well, but this dubbing actually was done really well as far as the voice actors are concerned. So definitely, if you're watching this in English dub, or if you're watching this in subtitles, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with it.
And the whole series is on Hulu. Like, the whole new series is on Hulu.
Wow.
And the old series was on there too for a while. I think they were taking it off. But you can tell that it's new animation versus old animation. Don't watch the old one. Apparently it sucks and they don't really finish it. The new one, you could fit this movie right into that series. The only reason I would say you couldn't watch this before you watch that series is because there's a lot of spoilers for how these characters they touch on end up. And even there, for you people who love the anime, there's a little snippet of after the series of the two characters as they begin their life journey together. And we never get to see that. We got to see 20 years in the future. So we didn't get this little snippet, which I thought was really, I think that's going to make a lot of fans happy. I think I've gone back and forth weaving between spoiler and not spoiler, but just watch it. Watch it.
Don't worry, I'm gonna edit a lot of this. Don't worry, it's all good. But yeah, so I think the biggest thing about me and Ant watching this is he's seen all of it. I've seen absolutely nothing. For me to have watched this and still be engaged and still catch feels, so to speak, and even me wanting to possibly go back, because even though the first 20 to 30 minutes is backfilling a lot of stuff I had no idea what was, and it's probably been spoiled to me now. But it's weird that I'm still intrigued because it's still a lot of, like you said, there's still a lot of character backgrounds of other characters I still don't know anything about. And I'm wanting to go back and watch it for the very first time because to me, I don't want to say it.
Just say it. Just say it.
I used to watch Dawson's Creek. Okay.
I used to watch Dawson's Creek.
I used to watch Dawson's Creek.
First season they talk, I was like, this people talk? I should talk like this.
And believe it or not, like it's definitely a Pacey and Joey situation going on because Pacey went through all these different things of inadequacy complex and all this different, you know, he burned himself alive essentially. And relationship, he just kept on pushing and pushing people away. Whereas Joey was like always eyeing something else, but she never focused and honed in on somebody that was always really there. And it definitely is reminiscent of that. But I don't want to put that in
with
the
Dawson's perfect life and perfect, you know,
right.
And I never even caught that. That's a good catch. I would say yes. Yes. This a lot of this comes from this. Just add 13 more characters with their own separate trauma, being tortured by a god and by their god emotionally. And yeah.
So I would rate this for me, and having not seen anything else, I probably like an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's really good. I think that it would probably mean so much more to me if I'd seen, you know, I think the first 30 minutes wouldn't have felt like a lull. Whereas like I feel like I started it right where the prelude began. And I was just like, okay, this is great. I love this. But what did all the rest of this mean? But what about for you, Ant? Final closing thoughts, and what do you rate this one?
I'd have to give it a 9. I really enjoyed it because I had the context of the characters, and these are characters I want to know about. I really loved the Christmas Butterfly every time she came up in conversation in the show. But that 30 minutes of recap, like I just watched the series, so that was rough for me, and I felt like at first I was like, well, this wouldn't mean anything to me if I didn't know the series. I don't like you should have just told me this story, and then make me want to go back and watch the series to get the type of flavor, right? You know, because imagine you bought a ticket to this and was sitting in a theater for 30 minutes just getting a recap of what's the runtime of this movie?
Roughly, I think it's like an hour and 47 minutes, hour and 35.
So really, you just got 2 episodes because the first 30 minutes is nothing but a recap. And the other thing is, well, I liked seeing a little bit of the future. I would have liked this movie to just have been something you could have inserted into the series. Like, hey, watch this, and then you go on from there. If it makes sense, you know, because
that's how I felt about the Jujutsu Kaisen movie. Like the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, you watch that and then you watch the first episode, you'll be fine. You know, and I think if you take away, honestly, if you take away the first 30 minutes and remove the last 5 minutes, this could work, I guess. The very beginning, start, and then go from there. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because I would never go, hey, Sam, check out this movie, then check out the series, because this movie would ruin some key moments of not ruin, but take away, I should say that, take away from some moments in the series. But for fans, get your Kleenex, you know, close your blinds, turn off your social media so you can keep your capital G gangster for the streets, and get your cry on. Get your cry on, because if you know Fruits Basket, you know some characters you really like are going to have some really friendly, and I think that's great about the series. The first 2 seasons, like there's a lot of funny, cutesy, like anime drama, but there's like always hints like there's some like deeper stuff going on. And then when you get to these characters' deeper stuff, after getting their they're funny, they're kind all the time, and you get to like what they're like, it's Robin Williams, and then there's like Robin Williams, like you're dealing with the, you know, and so around end of season 2, beginning of season through season 3, you're like, that's what was going on, and this is the conclusion, and because you like them as characters. So overall, I like this movie. I we were in our private chat with some guys. They was like, "Hey, what y'all want to watch?" And he had put Fruit Basket. He knew nobody was gonna pick Fruit Basket, and I was like,
"Oh, I didn't know."
I was like, "Oh, you got fruit? Oh, you got the new Fruit Basket?" And he was like, "You see that?" And everybody was like, "Oh, what's that? What's that?" I was like, "Oh, y'all don't." Like, if you don't know, you don't know. Because I didn't know. So, yeah, it was a ray of sunshine for me. Ray of sunshine.
Oh man, yeah. Let us know if there's any other anime films you want us to check out. There's one that I'd recommend to you guys that'll probably break your heart. I don't think you watched it yet, but I did recommend it to you. But I didn't want you to fall into like a depressed state. Which is it's called A Silent Voice. This film is phenomenal. And one of the things I think is crucial about it is it breaks down the human heart. And there's a lot of things that people go through, whether it's adversity or whether it's a disability or whether it's just trauma. But all this movie does is it puts that front and center. And what do you really do to get past it? Can you get past it? What does it mean to actually have people that'll get past it with you and for you? So definitely recommend that one. And there's a couple other ones, but let us know what you think. I would love to actually get your review on that, to be honest with you. Anyway,
I'll check it out. But I want to know, like, guys, like, I appreciate this channel because sometimes if people want to bring me on to like talk about like action movies or things like that, but this channel we talk about everything, right? And people say sometimes, oh, this is for this people and these are this for this people. But good entertainment, good writing, good emotion is for everybody.
I agree.
Everybody. And if you don't think you like something, just give something a try. Like I told somebody earlier, like Avatar: The Last Airbender was technically a Nickelodeon show, but when it was on, it was those popular programs for people age 8 to 35.
Yes, that is a phenomenal series.
Probably one of the best series ever put on television in America that I can think of.
Do you consider it anime though?
Well, I don't consider that anime. Like I don't consider whiskey from Japan Scotch. like you can say it's Scotch, but it ain't Scotch, people. It'll come from, well,
it comes the closest.
It comes close, but it ain't Scotch. But it's great writing, great character development, great character arcs, and makes you feel. And so don't get trapped in these boxes. Don't let people say this is written for this person, this is written for that person. Try it out. It might be written for you.
It's true. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button, and we got a lot more content coming. We got some reviews coming as well for TV shows. Stay tuned, people. Peace. Falling off the top of